May 24th marks 2 years since the shooting at Robb Elementary in Uvalde. Arnulfo Reyes was a teacher there. He was shot 3 times, lost 11 of his students. In this edition of Spriester Session, we talked to him on KSAT for the very first time. He talks about the day of that shooting, his survivor's guilt, and being honored by the gun control group Lives Robbed. Here's my interview with Arnie Reyes. I'm deeply affected by your story. I hope you know that. And I appreciate you sitting down and talking to us about this. Talk about being given the first Lives Robbed award for teachers and having it named after you.
I mean, it's like a big honor. If you know me, I always have something to say, but I'm totally like speechless about that, about, having an award or a scholarship, whatever, named after me is just like, I mean, who thinks that something like that will ever happen to them in their lifetime? Yeah. So,
talk about the work of Lives Robbed.
Lives Robbed. I mean, I think they started soon after the tragedy, and started working, to bring awareness, to gun violence and stuff like that. So they've been on the ground running ever since then, So they do a lot of, appearances and talking about gun violence and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's something you've been vocal about as well.
Yeah, I have been vocal, and I promised my kids that I would, always speak on their behalf because they're no longer here. So I survived it, and it was for a reason, and that's what I'm going to do.
Is that what you? Is that what you think of first and foremost when you get an award like this? You get an award named after you.
Yeah, I'll accept it on their behalf on the 21. Yeah. So I mean, it's always been everything for them, and so I want to honor them in that way.
There's a thing called survivor's guilt. Did you have that? Do you have it?
Absolutely, I do. I had it right soon after I found out that I had lost all my students. It's why me? Why did I survive and not them? Eva and Miss Garcia and Miss Mireles is like, they had families. I mean, I don't have a family, other than my mom and my sisters and my brothers, but they had, kids of their own. And so, I mean, survivor's guilt kicked in right after that, and it's just like, why me? And I've learned to accept it and to not get over it, but to accept it in a sense that I can try to live my life every day. But in this month, it's started all over again. It's just everything's coming back again. So it's I don't know when will it ever go away, but yeah, absolutely, I still live with the survivor's guilt. Yeah.
When you think back to that day, what goes through your mind?
It just all the tragedy that happened in so little time, everything that it has affected my community in, I mean, like 3 minutes, in the first 3 minutes, I mean, has scarred my community so much, and I don't know how long that's gonna last, but I mean, it's affected my community really, really bad. So
yeah, and you have the physical scars.
I do.
To show for it.
I do. Yeah, I have my arm, my back, plus everything else that they had to cut and use to put me back together. So yeah, it's not a pretty sight.
When was the first moment that you realized something was wrong in the school?
I mean, I would say as the bangs got closer to the classroom, because at first they were far away, they sounded far away, and they had paused for a little bit, and then when they got closer, um, that was my sign that something was wrong, and my students asking me what's going on. So um, that's when I knew something was wrong.
Did you know what the bangs were?
I didn't. I didn't know what they were. What it sounded like was balloons popping, or books being dropped on the floor. And so I didn't know what it was until I saw the wall and, you know, pieces of sheetrock were falling, you know. So then I thought to myself, you know, it's a gun. It's got to be a gun. There's nothing else to it, you know. The loud bangs and the falling of the sheetrock. And so then that's how I knew. I figured that that's what it was.
Do you remember when you were shot?
Hmm.
Did you see the gunman first, or were you shot first?
I saw the gunman first. So I had, you know, got my kids into their position under the table, and I was about to get in my position because I would stand, you know, right next to that table, but not to be seen. So as I was getting to my position, I looked to the doorway that way, and he was standing there already, and that's when he shot. And so he shot me, and I automatically just fell to the floor. Yeah.
Did he say anything?
No. He didn't tell me anything or say anything to me. But yeah, then after that, that's when he comes around and shoots the kids under the table. So I knew that we were in trouble at that time. So
Have you looked at any of the footage that DPS body cam, some of the stuff in the classroom, some of the stuff in the hallway? Have you looked at some of that stuff?
I've seen some of it. I've seen, you know, some pictures here and there from other media sources and stuff like that. Yeah, I've seen some of it.
Yeah. What do you think as you see the law enforcement that was there?
I mean, that just boggles my mind that there were so many men, I guess you want to call them, and nobody had the guts to go in. And that just, it boggles my mind, you know, or that they couldn't even think of something to distract him, to do something, you know, anything. It just, yeah.
How many times were you shot?
I was shot, I believe it's 3 times.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you will ever be healed?
Not 100%. I mean, not 100%. And I say that because I wake up and go to sleep with the same pains on my arm, my back. So if that's going to last for the rest of my life, then it's going to be a reminder every day.
We're coming up on the 2-year anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to be thinking about on that day?
I mean, it's not just that day. It's every day that I think about my kids and my students, my coworkers that, you know, that passed away. So it'll probably be the same thing that I do every day. Just think about them. So
have you gone to visit their burial plots?
Oh, yeah.
Or, I mean, yeah.
I go as much as I can, especially holidays. I take them things, I talk to them. So I try to keep up with the holidays and everything for them. Yeah, so.
Is their memory what drives you, or am I overstating that?
No, the thought, I mean, just the way that they were, I think of who would like for me to do this or that. Um, like, for example, Rogelio was always, um, wanting to be first at everything, or he had that drive inside of him that, he was gonna do something good or, try his best. So I think about that, it's like, I gotta try my best too, even when I was at my weakest, I still went out there because this was just a little bit pain compared to what they went through. And so they're, just thinking about them, yeah, it's a big drive behind everything.
A lot of people, when they think gun violence, it's an abstract concept to them.
Mm-hmm.
It is not to you. Has that day changed your view on gun control?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Before I thought, well, guns are guns, and pretty much that was just it. But being shot by one, that'll change your mind real quick. Painful. So yeah, that changed my mind completely. There is no need for these assault weapons, or these types of weapons. I mean, I can understand a handgun, I can understand a rifle, for hunting, but assault rifles like this, there's no need for them. There is absolutely no need for those on the streets.
Yeah, you're not anti-gun.
No, I'm not anti-gun. It's like, I get it. You want your Second Amendment. I get that. Um, if I lived out in the country, out in the woods, of course I would want a gun to defend myself. But a gun like this it's a weapon of war. It's you don't need that kind of gun.
When you think about, how long have you lived in Uvalde?
Pretty much all my life, yeah.
Yeah. When you think about that day, how has it changed Uvalde?
It flipped Uvalde upside down. I mean, I don't think we're the same community as we were before. But a lot of things have come out, and so, I mean, a lot of people are more aware of how this town is run, what made this town go round, But it has divided our community a lot.
Is that division growing farther apart, or is it getting closer together? I mean, is there a healing process that's underway?
I mean, I would like to think that there is some healing happening, but when we have our political races and stuff like that, it comes out. So it's just, I think, I guess the people that it didn't affect directly are probably the ones that are still just, living day by day and just going on with their lives. But when it affected you directly, I think we got something to say about it, and so we will.
When people say Uvalde now, and they're not from here, they're not from Texas, they think of what happened at Robb.
Mm-hmm.
Is that warranted? Is that unfortunate? How would you describe it?
I mean, when they ask you, like, well, where are you from? And you say Uvalde, and they're like, oh, that's where that, massacre happened. And you're like, yeah, that's where it happened. And I mean, it's unfortunate that's how we're going to probably be remembered for a long time, because I think this is going to be generational in the sense of of healing. So that's just very unfortunate because, I mean, we're more than that, but I mean, this has brought attention to Uvalde. So,
Yeah. What do you hope people take from you? What do you hope people take as they will listen to this interview and the other interviews that you've done? What do you hope people get from your story?
well, I guess what I would really like them to be aware of of things in your community. I mean, and it's not a political thing or anything like that, but ask yourself, do we really need these kinds of weapons for our, I mean, around our kids, our community? Do we need those kind of weapons? And I guess just ask yourself that, you know.
When they say remember their names, you hear that so often. How important is that to you?
Oh, it's very important because I want them to remember, you know, they paid the ultimate price for them, for, you know. I guess is I just hope when they hear their name that they know that, you know, that at least that they didn't die in vain, you know, that people are still remembering them. So
How do you remember them?
what gets me through is I think about all the good times that I had with them. The jokes, the laughter, the just everyday, you know, stuff that we did together, or what I would do for them, you know, or what they would do for me. So I just think about the good times. That's what helps me a lot.
That's all I've got. I appreciate your time.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.